Hello, esteemed viewers. How are you doing this morning? Good morning to you. Good afternoon. Good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. This is Daily Digest on Esteem Radio Vision. We are located at Obukun Avenue in Ilesha, Osun State, Nigeria. I am Chidima Ebel, and I have with me.
Oluwatoyo Sholanke. Good morning, everyone.
All right, on Daily Digest, we'll be starting with the Punch. The Punch news headlines. Senate reconvenes today as electoral arts triggers uproar. Senate reconvenes today as electoral arts triggers uproar. The Senate will, on Tuesday today, hold an emergency plenary session amid rising national outrage over its handling of amendments to the Electoral Act, particularly the controversial decision to drop the clause mandating real-time electronic transmission of election results. The extraordinary sitting convened less than a week after the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 comes as pressure mounts from civil society organizations, opposition figures, labor unions, professional bodies, regional leaders, and a swelling youth movement that has taken its anger to the gates of the National Assembly. The President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, is expected to preside over the plenary, which will be attended by the remaining 105 senators. In the past 6 weeks, the upper chamber has lost two members, Senator Okechukwu Eze of Enugu State and Senator Godiya Akwashiki of Nasarawa State to that. A third lawmaker, Senator Jimo Ibrahim, recently exited the chamber after being appointed an ambassador designate by President Bola Tinubu. The development has reduced the number of senators from 109 to 106. Get a copy of the Punch for the details.
Still on the Punch, Oyo Princes launch cult fight to preserve Alaafin's supremacy. The Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akim Owoade, has been summoned to appear in person or through legal representation in a suit instituted against him by some princes of Oyo at the Oyo State High Court sitting in Oyo Town. The claimants, Laidigbolu Adegboyega Owoade Teslim, Adeyemi Adeshina, and Adeyemi Adebayo, filed the suit marked HOY 18-2026, seeking several declaratory and injunctive reliefs against the monarch. In the suit, the princes are asking the court to grant an order of perpetual injunction restraining the Alaafin either by himself, his servant, privies, or any other person or persons whatsoever from appearing at, attending, or continuing to attend occasions and functions which they claim are not befitting the status of a symbolic traditional head of the Yoruba race. From the Punch, you get the full details.
All right, away from the Punch now onto the Vanguard. The Vanguard news headlines. US to deport 18 Nigerians on worst of the worst criminal list. US to deport 18 Nigerians on worst of the worst criminal list. What's your thought on this? Please leave a comment for us in the comment section. United States Department of Homeland Security, known as DHS, has announced plans to deport an additional 18 Nigerians listed on its worst of the worst criminal register, bringing the total number of Nigerians slated for removal to 97. The DHS website on Monday showed that 18 more names had been added, indicating an expansion of the ongoing enforcement exercise against criminal immigrants. Updated records show that wire fraud, mail fraud, and identity theft were among the most common offenses committed by the newly listed individuals. An accompanying statement on the website said the arrests were part of a nationwide crackdown by U.S. authorities. Among Nigerians named on the latest list are Oluwaseun Akinola Afolabi, Oluwagbeminiyi Aderibigbe Benjamin Ifebajo, and so many others. Others also include Alex Afolabi and others. Now, the development underscores the Trump administration's continued tough stance on illegal and criminal immigrants across the United States, with several foreign nationals, including Nigerians, affected by the enforcement drive. From the Vanguard, you will get the details.
Still on the Vanguard, recurring grid collapses in national embarrassment, NERC chairman. The chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, Dr. Musiliu Oseni, has admitted that the recurring collapse of the national power grid has become a national embarrassment. Oseni made the remark in Abuja on Monday at the opening of the 2026 NERC seminar for judges, noting that the Commission has intensified its monitoring of the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisitions (CADA) project, which is expected to significantly improve grid reliability. He explained that with the recent establishment of the Nigeria Independent System Operator (NISO), it had become necessary to brief members of the judiciary on the rules and regulations governing the Nigerian electricity supply industry. The Commission has intensified oversight of the implementation of the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition project. This is aimed at addressing the recurring incidents of grid collapse, which have become a national embarrassment, Oseni said. From the Vanguard, you get the full details.
Now away from the Vanguard onto the Nation. The Nation news headlines. Senate to federal government. Borrowing unavoidable, but impact must justify deficit. Senate to federal government. Borrowing unavoidable, but impact must justify deficit. The Senate yesterday told the federal government that borrowing is unavoidable when there are clear reasons to do so, especially to bridge its widening fiscal gap. But the Red Chamber, economic managers and experts stress that the era of unchecked deficit and weak implementation must end. The Senate stated its borrowing position when the National Assembly held a public hearing on this year's appropriation bill. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Solomon Olamilekan Adeola, stated this in his remarks during the public hearing on this year's budget yesterday in Abuja. The committee chairman said borrowing remains inevitable given Nigeria's infrastructure deficit and volatile revenue streams. He, however, stressed that the key challenge is not borrowing itself, but how deficits are financed and deployed. Get a copy of the Nation for the details.
Still on the Nation. No importation of finished PMS into Nigeria, Dangote Refinery clarifies. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has dismissed claims that it imports finished premium motor spirits into the country. It responded to publications attributed to S&P Global, stating that the reports misrepresent its operations and create a misleading picture of Nigeria's refining landscape. According to Dangote Refinery, the misinformation was appropriately addressed during an S&P Global Forum held yesterday in the United Kingdom. Following the clarification, the forum acknowledged the refinery's pivotal role in reshaping the global refining landscape. From the Nation, you get the full details.
All right, away from the Nation and on to this day. This day news headlines. Federal government plans world-class energy center. Concludes lands acquisition. From this day, the federal government has disclosed plans to establish a world-class energy center that will host the Nigeria International Energy Summit, known as NIES, and other global events, stressing that the acquisition of land for the purpose has already been completed. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Henneken Lokbobiri, speaking on the final day of the NIES 2026 edition in Abuja, said the center would position Nigeria as a hub for international energy engagement. Lokbobiri reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to leveraging oil and gas endowment to drive industrialization, energy security, and economic growth, explaining that the construction would begin under the current administration, while the government will engage industry players on the project's implementation. He challenged industry stakeholders to invest in domestic infrastructure that will position Nigeria as a destination for global energy dialogue, expressing satisfaction with the huge participation at the summit. From this day, you will get a full story.
And this marked the last headline for today from Daily Trust. Nigeria opens border with Benin, Niger in Kebbi. The Nigeria Customs Service Area Command in Kebbi State has opened the Kamba and Tasmania borders in Dundee and Bagudo local government areas of the state to Benin and Niger Republic to facilitate bilateral trade. The borders were shut against the two countries following the growing insecurity around the border areas. However, the borders have now been opened after a series of talks and agreements reached between Nigeria and the Republic of Benin. While opening the borders to the two countries on Monday, the Custom Areas Controller in Kebbi State, Mahmoud Matawal Ibrahim, said the borders were opened on the approval of the president to allow for the movement of legitimate goods from the Tasmania border to the Niger Republic through the Kamba borders in Kebbi State. He said that with this, many of the trap trucks from the Benin Republic were officially cleared at Tasmania to enter the Niger Republic Tunga Jado border through the Kambila border in Kebbi State. From the Daily Trust, you get the full details.
All right, thank you so much, our viewers. This is where we'll be matching the break. We'll be wrapping it here on Daily Digest. But don't forget that tomorrow this program will still be making a return to your doorstep. Stay tuned on Esteem Radio Vision. More programs will still be coming your way. Up next at exactly 12 noon, we'll be bringing the confab. So don't go anywhere. At this point, we want to say a very big thank you to you for choosing Esteem Radio Vision. We also want to appreciate our CEO in the person of Dickie Michael Adeboye Ashaolu, the founder of Eniak Bonley Foundation and Esteem Radio Vision. Our special appreciation also goes to our producer in the person of Babs Tai. Thank you so much, Babs. Till we come your way again, I still remain Chidin Maibel. And
Oluwatoyo Sri Lanka.
bye for now.
Bye.